Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Lions Den Quiz League, Season 9, Week number 3. We are back after a decent performance last week. I was 12th, I was 10th in week number 1, so not the most amazing start to the season, but certainly good enough. Looks like we don't have overall standings. Anyway, wait, is it week, why does it say week 4? I think it's week 3. I think that's a typo. I'm pretty sure it's week 3. I don't think I missed one. Anyway, yeah, we're just going to jump right in, just with the usual stuff. You know the drill. Starting with repetition, repetition, repetition. 2, because I guess there was a quiz called this at some point before. Yeah, anyway, general knowledge, let's get going. Part 1, in name, as in repetition in name. Erik Erikson is the creator of a model of psychosocial development consisting of how many stages? This is also the number of guidelines in a cornerstone of Buddhist thought that includes the guidelines right intention and right effort. So, I don't know off the top of my head the Erikson thing, but the Buddhist thing, my first thought was the Four Noble Truths, but I'm pretty sure that the Four Noble Truths are all life is suffering, suffering is caused by desire, to stop suffering, stop desire, to stop desire, follow the Eightfold Path, none of which are right intention and right effort. So my thought instead is that this is the Eightfold Path. So I'm going to go with 8. I'm not sure about this, but I think it makes sense at least. But I don't know. There are probably other cornerstones of Buddhist thought that are numbered things, but I was like, I don't know. Like the Eightfold Path is definitely a thing, so that's what I have to say because I'm pretty sure it's not the Four Noble Truths. Number 2, before Boutros Ghali was UN Secretary General, he was Egypt's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. In this position, he had a role in the negotiations that led to what set of accords between Egypt and Israel. The famous set of accords between Egypt and Israel is the Camp David Accords between, I think, Sadat and Begin were the leaders. It was, what was it? I mean, Camp David is that, like, thing in Maryland where all the U.S. presidents go. Anyway, there's some secret thing. I don't know too much about it, but like set of accords between Egypt and Israel. It's just surely the Camp David Accords. Question 3, the greeting Canis lupus vulpes vulpes is spoken by the title character of what movie? This movie is based on a children's book of the same name. This one did not come to me immediately, but I eventually came up with what I hope is the answer. I think it's probably Fantastic Mr. Fox. I've seen this movie, but it was kind of when it came out, which was some time ago. And I also read Fantastic Mr. Fox when I was a kid. Now, I don't recognize this greeting. He's just saying, like, the genus and species for, like, wolves and foxes, which I don't really know what that's about. But I figured, okay, it probably has something to do with either wolves or foxes. And I was like, well, I mean, a movie about foxes that's based on a children's book, like, makes sense, right? So hopefully that's what it is. Question 4, the human heart performs its repetitive and very necessary function over and over, day after day, year after year. Of all the humans in the world, the median number of beats by a human heart in one day is closest to what power of 10? So this was just a little bit of math. I mean, if you know roughly how many beats per minute is normal, then you can kind of figure this out. So I think the normal resting heart rate for people is probably around 70 or 80 beats per minute, something in that ballpark. And if you take 70 or 80 and you multiply it by 60 to get hours and multiply it by 24 to get days, you get something around 100,000. So I figure that's got to be the answer, because if it's a million or 10,000, then my conception of what a normal resting heart rate is very off, and I don't think it is, so it should be 100,000. Question 5, in the TV series Breaking Bad, the elderly Hector Salamanca cannot talk and only communicates by repeatedly using what object that is strapped to his wheelchair? It's taken from a hotel check-in desk in the prequel series. Better Call Saul is later used as the detonator for a bomb in a climactic scene from Breaking Bad. This is a bell. I don't watch a lot of television, but I have seen Breaking Bad, and that is pretty iconic. And finally, question 6. A Vietnam War era song that laments "Mother, Mother, there's too many of you crying" and asserts that we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today has what title? A question that is asked repeatedly in the song's chorus. So as soon as I read the lyric, I read the words "mother, mother," and my brain went "mother, mother," which is from What's Going On or Going. I don't know if it's going or going. Anyway, "Mother, Mother" is from What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. So to be honest, I couldn't have named any of the lyrics to that song other than "Mother, Mother" and the chorus, "What's Going On," but I've heard it a couple of times, and yeah, it's definitely what the song is, unless it somehow isn't. But surely, like Mother, Mother. I mean, it's got to be right. So yeah, I think I will probably enhance that one too because I don't know. The rest of this feels quite gettable. I feel like Breaking Bad's super popular. Camp David is just it says Accords, so I feel like people can figure that out. 100,000 feels too easy. Number one is decent, but I'm not convinced that it's right. Like there could be another Buddhist thing that I'm not aware of, so I don't really want to go for that. Um, and then Fantastic Mr. Fox again feels maybe a little too easy, if that even is the answer. But I feel confident about 6, and I think it's not super easy, so I'm going to go with that. Okay, sure. Bicycles. There are no bicycles here. Cool. What's going on is correct. 100,000, a bell, Mr. Fox, Camp David, and 8. Nice. Let's go. Okay. 6 out of 6 to start the week. That definitely is not going to be happening in every quiz, but, you know, love to see it. Definitely a good start. I'm glad it was, in fact, presumably the eightfold path. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to quiz 2. The most well-known GLP-1 agonist is likely what Novo Nordisk product, whose primary competitors are Eli Lilly's Zepbound and Novo Nordisk's own Wegovy and Saxenda. I think this is Ozempic. There was a question in an online league, and another one somewhat recently that was like, oh, what's the largest like Danish company or whatever by market cap? It was something like that, and I thought it was Maersk, which is like the shipping company, and I was wrong, and it was Novo Nordisk, and I had never heard of Novo Nordisk until that point. But I looked it up, and it's apparently the people who make Ozempic, which makes sense that they're super huge now. So yeah, that would do it. At least hopefully. I mean, I don't really see this being wrong. I think this has to be what's happening. Question 2: the most well-known actress to play 26 different roles in one play is likely Sarah Snook, who is currently doing that on Broadway. Characters include Henry Wotton, Basil Hallward, and the title young man who magically stops aging after Basil, or maybe it's Basil, uses him as a muse. That plays an adaptation of the only novel. By what author? So title young man who magically stops aging sounds to me like the picture of Dorian Gray, so I have to assume that this is Oscar Wilde. Although, to be honest, I did not know that that was his only novel. I guess Importance of Being Earnest is a play, I think, so I guess it makes sense. I just never, like, if you asked me, I would have said that Oscar Wilde wrote many novels, so that's kind of surprising, but I would believe it. I definitely don't have any knowledge that disproves it, so that is presumably actually true, which is kind of an interesting fact. Question 3: the most well-known satire on anthropological defamiliarization is likely an article by Horace Minor about the Nasirema, a culture whose medicinal healers reside in a temple called the Latipso, and whose daily body rituals include purifying mouth rites. The Nasirema are based on people who reside in what real-life country? Now, this one took me a second, and I've heard of this before, and I was like, where have I heard this before? I was like, it sounds vaguely Spanish, like what's going on? And then it hit me, and I was like, wait a second, Nasirema is American backwards. And Latipso is hospital backwards, or, hospital, to make it a little bit more ambiguous, I guess. Kind of a funny thing. I looked at this question for a few minutes, and I was like, like, what? Why do I not remember what this is? Because I've totally heard of it, and then it hit me. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Question 4: the most well-known song, whose title consists of 12 of the same letter, is likely what song by the Crash Test Dummies that mournfully describes the misfortunes of various children? I have no idea what this is. Like, absolutely no idea. Make sure that your answer contains correct spacing. I don't know what that means either. I'm going to say, ah. Surely that's the answer, right? I have no idea what this is. And I feel like if you have never heard of this, you're just not going to get it right. So tough, I guess. Question 5: the most well-known quasi-satellite is likely 524522 Zuzve, an asteroid whose name was coined when an artist misread a temporary designator partially contained in the year 2002. Being a quasi-satellite, Zuzve's orbit is primarily impacted by both the Sun and what planet, which influences its orbital period of 225 days and its semi-major axis of 0.72 AU. So the orbital period thing doesn't really help that much, or at least it doesn't help me, because, like, I guess, if a planet is closer to the sun than Earth is, all else equal, you would expect, it to revolve around the sun in less time, but like I don't really have a good sense for how fast certain planets are. So like even if it's further away from Earth, it could spin faster and do a revolution quicker. So kind of hard to say, but the 0.72 AU thing is a lot more helpful. So an AU, as far as I know at least, is defined as the average distance between the Earth and the sun. So if the Earth is 1 AU away from the sun on average, then if we're talking about something that has a semi-major axis of 0.72, where the semi-major axis is just the distance from the center of an ellipse to sort of the furthest uh, node. I don't know how to I don't know terminology. I know what the semi-major axis is. I'm just having trouble explaining it. Anyway, the point is the distance is about 2/3, 7/10 of the distance between the Earth and the Sun. So Mercury, I would imagine, would be a little bit closer to the Sun than that, which kind of just leaves Venus as the only reasonable answer here. I hope, unless Venus is unless like the Earth, Mercury, Venus progression is a lot more, I don't know, close than I thought, but I think that 0.72 makes much more sense for Venus, so that's what I'm going with. And also, it would be kind of weird if Mercury had satellites, because I feel like Mercury's kind of wimpy and can't do anything. Anyway, question 6, the most well-known concerto for what instrument is likely Ralph Vaughan Williams' 1954 Concerto for it in F minor. The intro to that concerto for this instrument is excerpted here. I will go ahead and play this and hope that it is public domain, but I guess, well, we'll take that risk. Hopefully it does actually play and is audible to you guys. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I gave that a listen, and I thought, I'm not sure, and I'm still not sure, but it sounds like a brass thing, like some kind of horn or something. I was like, what's an instrument that would not be particularly well known for concertos, and this would be kind of an odd thing to me. It kind of just sounds like a tuba, but it could be like a French horn or an English horn or a trombone or whatever. I don't really know what these things sound like. Again, I'm just not very good with music stuff, so in my head that's kind of what a tuba sounds like, and I think it would make sense for it to be an instrument that doesn't have that many concertos written for it. But again, I'm probably just guessing the wrong brass instrument. I don't really know. And as for what to enhance, it's actually a good question. I think I might actually enhance number 3, because I feel like this is not that obvious. Maybe it is. Maybe everyone's going to see this and be like, "Oh, that's American backwards, duh." But to me, it's not super clear. So it's maybe a risk, but I think I am going to go with number 3, and we'll see. Okay. That should tell me it's wrong. Okay, nice. Ozempic is correct. Oscar Wilde, the USA. Okay, whatever, man. Venus and tuba. It is a tuba. I'll take that, honestly. Again, 5 out of 6 is totally okay on that. Number 4, I don't really know how you're supposed to get that without just knowing the thing. So unless you, I mean, I guess it might be guessable, but like, I don't know. That would be an impressive guess if you're able to figure that out without knowing the thing. So anyway, 5 out of 6 is totally fine by me. And we will head to quiz number 3, pop culture. Cynthia Erivo plays identical quintuplets in an episode of what show? Where Natasha Lyons plays a woman who uses her ability to tell when anyone is lying to solve a mystery in every episode. It shares its name with a 2008 hit, where the singer claims, "A little gambling is fun when you're with me." It is Poker Face, which, I mean, thank you for the lyric, because I would not be getting this question right otherwise. But yeah, I guess shout out Lady Gaga. Question 2. In what 1986 musical are the roles of the Wolf and Cinderella's Prince played by the same actor, to draw attention to the similarities in the way they interact with Little Red and the Baker's Wife? So this sounds like some fairy tale thing, but I don't know. Like, I just don't know what this is. Like, I didn't know that there was a musical that was based on fairy tales, or if I have heard of it, I certainly don't know the name of it. So that's kind of tough. I'm gonna say fairy tale, because I don't have a better guess. I mean, this is just going to be wrong, but again, this kind of feels like the type of thing you just have to know, and if you don't know it, then tough luck. Question 3. The majority of the cast play both their main characters and creepy voiceless doppelgangers of themselves called the Tethered in a 2019 film by what director? So this film is called Us, and the director is Jordan Peele. Pretty good movie. I only saw it once, but I remember kind of enjoying it. I still like to Get Out more, but Us was kind of interesting anyway. It's a little freaky, obviously, but yeah, it was a solid movie. Question number 4. The multi-talented Darren Korb wrote all the music for and voiced both the protagonist Zagreus and his friendly training dummy Skelly in what video game? Its sequel, which will follow Zagreus' sister Melinoe, will release later this year. I was like, I don't know about this one, but I have a guess at least after looking at it for a while. The word Melinoe or the name Melinoe looks very Greek to me. So it kind of made me think it could be Hades because I know that that's a game that exists. It's like based off of Greek myth. I've never played it. And Zagreus and Skelly, those don't ring a bell to me at all. So again, it's probably not the right train of thought at all. But Melinoe looks Greek, and I don't really have anything else to base this guess off of. I mean, it could be, as far as I know, it could be pretty much any video game ever. So I don't have much to go off of. So that's the best guess I'm going to come up with. Tatiana Maslany plays over a dozen characters who are all clones on a Canadian show whose title ends in what word? A Netflix show whose title ends with this word follows the newly incarcerated Piper Chapman and explores the backstories of her fellow prison inmates. I'm going to guess black for this because I know that Orange is the New Black is a Netflix show that is set in a prison. And again, I don't know anything more about it, but I mean, I think that's a reasonable guess. And I'm not gonna know any more here because I don't know. I don't watch TV, so tough. Question 6, name the British actor who in one film franchise plays multiple roles, including the suave British main character, his comically villainous nemesis, an obese Scotsman, and a gold-loving Dutchman. Again, don't know what's going on. My first thought was like James Bond, but like why would there be a James Bond movie where the same actor plays all the other characters? That seems really weird. So the guess I landed on instead was Johnny English, which is like the parody version of James Bond, which I feel like could make a little bit more sense, except it's the actor. My God, I almost made a very silly mistake there. Still probably wrong, but at least it has a chance of being right because Johnny English was definitely not going to be the answer. And I don't feel very good about many of these questions other than 1 and 3. I think 1 is too easy, so I think I have to go for 3, even if that's also probably fairly easy. That's pop culture for you. At least I have a couple ones that could be correct. A couple guesses here, but I really don't know. So, oops. What did I just do? We shall see. Okay. All right, looks good to me. Okay, Poker Face, Into the Woods, no idea what that is. Jordan Peele, Hades is correct and Black is correct. Let's go. Okay, Mike Myers, Austin Powers. That makes sense. I've never seen Austin Powers, but I think, yeah, I think that does make a lot of sense. So fair enough. But Orange is the New Black was the right train of thought, and Hades was actually right. So I guess the Greek name was actually the right clue to latch onto there. Into the Woods. I honestly don't think I've ever heard of that. If I have, again, it kind of just went in one ear and out the other, which does happen a lot. But there's no way I would have pulled that. So I am totally okay with 4 out of 6 there. Quiz 4, which is the visual quiz. Which artist who died in 1988 at the age of 27 created this artwork? So it says like Hollywood Africans all over the place. Like that's the most common phrase written here. And I was just trying to think of like who's an artist who famously died young. And this guy is just the first name that comes to mind. No idea if that's right. Again, I don't really know his artwork very well. Kind of exposing myself for having a lot of very surface level knowledge, but no actual substantial knowledge about any of these things. But he's definitely an artist who died young, and I think the time frame hopefully fits as well. So we'll go for it. Question 2, these uniforms are worn by what group of soldiers who must all be citizens of a specific country, but their primary role is a protective unit in a different country? It's presumably the Swiss Guard. They're like the guards at the Vatican, basically. Um, Again, I don't really know much more about them except there's just a thing called the Swiss Guard that guards the Vatican City. So there you go. Question 3: What band's name has been redacted from the album cover below? The second song on this album, arguably this band's most popular, begins with the singer repeating "woohoo" over heavy guitar and drums. I mean, I know the song, and I imagine almost everybody reading this question will know the song because it's kind of iconic. It's like "woohoo," dude, like you know the one. But I have no idea what the band is, like no idea at all. I'm gonna say Blink 182 because that's a band that exists, and I think it is a rock band of some kind, which would fit with the whole heavy guitar and drums thing. But again, this is not really the genre of music that I listen to, so there's not much I can do here. Below is the redacted logo for what Spanish brand of sweets? This is Chupa Chups, which is like a lollipop thing. I think that the logo was famously designed by Salvador Dali. But I'm quite sure that that's what this is. Question 5: What fruit is pictured below? This very large citrus fruit is an ancestor of fruits like the grapefruit and the bitter orange. So this one's annoying me because this one feels like something I should just 100% totally know, and for some reason I just don't. The best thing I've thought of is yuzu, which I know is like a Japanese citrus fruit that's very tasty. But I don't think it is. Like, it's Ancestor the grapefruit sounds weird, and also it's just very large, and I don't think that yuzu is very large, but maybe. I'm not sure. I really have no idea, but this is the best guess I'm going to come up with because for whatever reason I can't think of anything better. Finally, question number 6: The color palette of which country's flag is seen below? Over half of this country's flag is yellow. Most of it is yellow, but there is a small amount of yellow script as well. I don't know if this is like a typo or if this question is just intentionally phrased in a really weird way. Like, I don't know what's going on with over half of this country's flag is yellow, most of it is yellow. Like, I feel like both of those mean the exact same thing, but I don't know. Anyway, this one took me a second. It's not that obvious, but I think it's probably Brunei, which notably is a yellow flag that has like diagonal black and white stripes that go down it, and then you have the like red like hand thing in the middle with the like globe or whatever it is. Like, I don't really know what it is, but I think that this fits perfectly well for Brunei, and it fits with the whole mostly yellow clues, I guess. And I think I might actually enhance that one because the others, I don't know. Like, I feel like Basquiat, that's probably reasonably difficult if it's even right, but I don't feel confident enough about that one. Like, it just might not be the answer at all. Swiss Guard feels very knowable. Chupa Chups also feels very knowable, although maybe for Americans that's quite a bit harder. And then as for 3 and 5, I don't think I have them correct, so I'm going to go with 6. Enhancing anything geography related is always a bit of a risk, but I think it's the best option I've got here. So let's see. Basquiat is correct. Swiss Guard, Blur. Okay. Chupa Chups, Pomelo. Oh, that's a thing. That's a thing. Pomelo. I don't know why. For some reason, I associate the word pomelo with like an actual grapefruit. Like, I feel like in my head it wasn't a separate fruit for some reason. I don't know. Apparently I just had no idea what that was. I've definitely heard that word, but I just had the wrong idea, so that's unlucky. But Brunei was correct, so that's good at least. The song is called Song 2. What an amazing title. Blur again. I think I've heard of Blur, but that's just not gonna happen. So 4 to 6 is it's fine. I'll take it. Quiz 5 is geography, which normally I end up getting 6 out of 6 on these geography quizzes, but this one I might not, unfortunately. So we'll see, or maybe I'll prove myself wrong. I'm not sure. From 1934 to 1961, the city of Tskhinvali, the current capital of South Ossetia, was named after what person? He was also the namesake of former names of Dushanbe, Varna, and the 4th largest city on the Volga. Best guess here is Stalin. I mean, I'm not sure, but like Volgograd used to be called Stalingrad, and I wouldn't have guessed that it was the 4th largest on the river. I probably would have guessed like 2nd or 3rd, but I'd believe it because there are a lot of very large cities on the Volga. And of course, Joseph Stalin is notably born in Georgia, so it kind of just makes sense that it would be him. I certainly don't have a better guess than that. Tamanrasset, which was formerly called Fort La Perrine after a French World War I general, is today mostly inhabited by Tuareg people and by far the largest city in the southern half of Algeria. Yeah, Tamanrasset is just that one largish city in southern Algeria. Question 3. Give the modern name of the first level subdivision that was at one point called the Swan River Colony. I have no idea what this is, and I don't really know how to get any closer to the answer here. I feel like you just kind of have to have heard of this. Like, I just don't know what this is. I don't know what the Swan River is. I don't have any idea. I'm going to say Lagos State in Nigeria. The problem is it's really hard to narrow it down because I'm guessing it's a British thing because Swan River Colony sounds like a British thing. And the problem is the British conquered kind of everything. They had colonies literally everywhere, so I don't really even know what part of the world we're in. So I have no idea how to narrow this down. I got nothing, to be quite honest, which is unfortunate, but such is life. Question 4, Angostura, the namesake of Angostura bitters, and Santo Tomé de Guayana are two of the old names of what city on the Orinoco River, whose current name references a historical figure. So, I think, hopefully, that this is Ciudad Bolivar in Venezuela. There are other cities that exist on the Orinoco. One of them is Ciudad Guayana, but since the question says Guayana, then that presumably isn't the answer. And also, again, historical figure would make sense that it would be Simon Bolivar. But the Orinoco is pretty long. I think it flows through parts of Colombia as well. But I have a general sense for where it is in Venezuela. It kind of goes through like the south and then empties in the east. And most of the large cities in the country are more northwest. So I know that Ciudad Bolivar is on the river and it's named after a historical figure. So hopefully that's the answer. It's not easy if so. And if it's something else, then rip me. But I think this is hopefully what it is. Question 5. Before officially changing its name, the country now known as North Macedonia was admitted to the UN with what unwieldy acronym as its name? I assume they just want me to say this. I mean, former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. I might just type, like, I'm not 100% sure which one they want me to type, but just for good measure, I'm going to type the full name. I assume that they just want the letters, but I don't know. I just want to be careful with this. Anyway, it was formerly known as the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia before it became North Macedonia in 17 or something. Anyway, question 6. Nuvuk, formerly Point Barrow, a headland about 9 miles north of the town of Utqiagvik, formerly Barrow, is best known for what geographical distinction? So this is the northern tip of Alaska, which I assume the answer they're looking for is just like northernmost point in the US. I mean, it could also be the northernmost point in like mainland North America, but I'm not sure if that's true or not. I mean, obviously there's like Ellesmere and Baffin Island, whatever. Those are more north, but those aren't mainland. So it might be both of those things, but I'm quite sure that it's the northernmost point in the US, which makes me think that's probably what they're going for. So that's going to have to be what I say here. And yeah, that's going to be it. Number 3, I just don't think is correct, but I have no idea what to do with that question. And I think I will enhance number 4 because it definitely feels like the hardest of the ones that I am relatively confident that I have correct. So we'll go with that. And we will see once it stops giving me... Why are you giving me so many crosswalks? Okay. FYROM, yes. Northernmost point in the US, Ciudad Bolivar. Western Australia? Dude, what the heck? Okay, 5 out of 6. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I've heard of that. I probably have at some point, but like... It kind of feels like more of a history question than a geo question, to be honest. And I don't know what this Swan River Colony is, or maybe I've just forgotten about it. But that's tough. I mean, it makes sense. But even if I did guess Australia, there's a good chance I would have said Victoria or Queensland or New South Wales or something like that. So Kind of tough, but what are you going to do? I mean, that's just really difficult, I think. So I'll take a 5 on the Geo quiz. And we will head to quiz 6, the STEM quiz. J.J. Thomson's plum pudding model of the atom, which consisted of a blob of positive charge with electrons embedded into it, was replaced by what scientist's atomic model, the first to include the existence of the nucleus. This scientist was the first to identify the existence of the nucleus after an experiment that identified alpha particles scattering off a sheet of gold foil at bizarre angles. This is Ernest Rutherford, famous for the Rutherford gold foil experiment. Question 2. In the programming language Java, which is named for coffee, each individual statement, with a few exceptions, like if statements, must be terminated by what character, which is not a part of the alphabet. It's also used to separate multiple statements that occur on the same line, like in the declaration of a for loop. Not sure, but I want to say semicolon for this because I don't know why I have this like notion in my head of like code lines ending with semicolons. I mean, I think that's definitely a thing in some languages. Is it a thing in Java or not? I don't know. Maybe it's something else, but I don't really know anything about coding, so this is going to be the best guess I have. Question 3, the Wunda crater, which contains a bright ring dubbed the fluorescent Cheerio, is a feature on Umbriel, a moon of what planet? It is a moon of Uranus or Uranus. Umbriel, I think, is a character from, I want to say, The Rape of the Lock by Pope, but I'm not 100% sure about that. It might be Shakespeare, but Ariel is Shakespeare. I think Umbriel is Pope. Anyway, all the moons of Uranus are named after either Shakespeare or Pope characters, so that's what's going on there. Question 4. In mathematics, the sausage catastrophe refers to a chaotic change in the optimal solution for how best to pack a finite number of what shapes. The Kepler conjecture is a theorem about the optimal solution for packing an infinite number of these shapes. I have no idea what's going on here. I'm going to say, like, my first thought was that it's like what is the shape of a sausage? Like I don't even know. It's kind of like pill shaped. Like it's not a cylinder because it has like rounded edges. So I didn't really get anywhere with that. So I'm gonna say torus instead because I feel like if you fold a sausage into like a donut shape or whatever, you'd end up with a torus roughly. But again, why wouldn't it be called the donut catastrophe in that case? Basically, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what the sausage catastrophe is, but yeah, just kind of a tough one here. Question 5. A crystalline substance called nuclear pasta, thought to be the strongest substance in the universe, is found inside what astronomical objects? Most gravitational waves that have been detected on Earth are caused by mergers of black holes or these less massive objects. So I believe these are neutron stars. These are just like, I don't know. I kind of associate black holes and neutron stars with each other. It's kind of like things that happen when a star dies. It's just like if it's really big, it turns into a black hole. If it's a little less big, it becomes a neutron star. Or is it the neutron star that becomes a black hole? Wait. It's a... Wait, oh man, it's been way too long. Isn't it like if it's really big, it becomes a neutron star, and then if the neutron star is above like the Chandrasekhar limit or something, then it becomes a black hole? Or is a neutron star like, because it's like a white dwarf. Bro, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look this up and like remind myself of all the different possibilities. I don't really remember what turns into what, but anyway, I associate this type of stuff with black hole collisions and neutron star collisions, so I think that's what's going on. Finally, question 6. You walk into a chicken shop. The shop, I can't read anymore, sells chicken nuggets in 5-piece and 12-piece boxes. By the chicken McNugget theorem, what is the largest number of nuggets that you cannot buy exactly using only combinations of 5 and 12 nuggets? Okay, let me try and explain my thought process for this one. So, like, we're looking for the largest number that you cannot buy using combos of 5 and 12. So I kind of brute forced it. I didn't fully brute force it. I didn't just like go number by number, but I was thinking, okay, like what's a kind of system that I can come up with here? So obviously if it's a multiple of 5, right, meaning it ends in a 5 or a 0, then it's going to be easy to make because you can just buy a bunch of boxes of 5 nuggets. So 5, 10, 15, 20, those are very easy. 12 is easy, obviously. And then if you take 12 and you add 5, 5, 5, 5, 5 to that, then anything ending in a 2 or a 7 will also be fairly easy to make. So you can kind of continue along that line of logic. 12, 17, 22, 27, those are all easy. 0, 5, 10, 15, those are all easy. And then if you add another 12, you end up with 24, which ends in a 4. And if you add 5s to that, you end up with things that end in 9s. So 24, 29, 34, etc. Those are all doable. 19, presumably, the one before 24 isn't doable, but 19 isn't high enough, so we keep going. If you go to 36, 36, 41, 46, those are all fine because, multiples of 12 or whatever, 36 plus multiples of 5 is what I mean to say, et cetera, et cetera. And then you get 48, 53, 58, right? Those are all doable as well. And then after 48, you get to 60. And by the time you get to 60, you're back to numbers that end in 0s and 5s. So the farthest you can get with numbers that are like a new ending digit that you haven't seen before is when you're at 48, 53, etc. But like we said, 48, 53, blah, 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 those are, you can make those because, well, whatever, 12 times 4 is 48. But if you go backwards from there, if you go to 43, as far as I can tell, 43 is the highest number that you can't make because there's no way to make 43 out of 12s and 5s. There's just no way to do it because there's no way to get to a number with 3 as a ones digit without doing 4 12s and a 5, which would get you to 53. So I'm going to say 43, and I hope that I have not thought through this the wrong way, but I think that it makes sense, at least in my head. But did that explanation make any sense to you guys? That's a whole nother question, and the answer is probably no, but whatever. I tried. I'm going to enhance that too because I think it's not a super easy thought process to have. Maybe it is, I don't know. But the rest of these feel a little more gettable, if anything, other than 4, but I just don't know what 4 is. So, yeah, 6 it is. We shall see. Guess I don't count these ones. I want to, but I won't. 43, that is what I said, I believe. Yep. Good. Neutron stars, spheres. Spheres? Really? What do spheres have to do with sausages? Okay, fine. I didn't think I was going to get that right anyway. Semicolon is correct, though. I'm happy about that because I wasn't totally sure. Rutherford, Uranus. Again, 5 out of 6 is fine. I don't really know why it's spheres because I don't know what it has to do with sausages, but I don't know. I guess if you took a sphere and you just kind of like extended it, it would become a sausage. I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, 5 out of 6 works for a science/math quiz. And we will head to quiz number 7. What composer's opera Così fan tutte includes the aria Come Scoglio, which he deliberately wrote with large melodic leaps to force Adriana Ferraese to bob her head like a chicken while singing? The Queen of the Night sings the difficult aria De Holle Rache in another of this composer's operas, which is named for a particular instrument, that is the magic flute. The composer is Mozart. Question 2. Because Gian Lorenzo Bernini found a barber particularly annoying, he added a giant stone vase called the Ace of Cups to what sculpture to ensure that the barber's view would be blocked? This Roman landmark is pictured below. This is the Trevi Fountain, which I have been to a few times, actually. It's really cool. I mean, you can kind of see, though, how, like, even in this photo, there's, like, a million people, like, off to the side of it. This fountain it's just absolutely overrun with people, like, and it's kind of, like, you see these great photos of it, and it's just, like, when you go to these, like, super touristy places, you just realize, wait a second, like, there are so many people in these places, which kind of takes away from the charm a little bit, but, such is life. Question 3. What author was attacked in 2022, eventually losing an eye for writing a 1988 novel where one character, Jibril Farishta, has a series of dream sequences that portray fictionalized accounts of the Prophet Muhammad's life? So, I assume what's being talked about here is the Satanic Verses, which was notably a very controversial novel by Salman Rushdie, which there was the whole, like, fatwa thing, the, like, breaking Islamic Sharia law or whatever it was. He got, I don't remember exactly, what is it? It's like a, what exactly is a fatwa? It's like you can't you can, is it like a exile kind of thing, or it's whatever. Whatever it is, it's not good. And I know that he was under a lot of heat for that. So I think that this is just what's being described. Again, I'm not describing it very well myself, but I think this is what's going on. Question 4. Polish composer Krzysztof Penderecki's Threnody to the Victims of Hiroshima evokes terror in listeners by using techniques like thick tone clusters and rapid dynamic changes. He also uses what technique of using pitches in between the 12 tones found in standard Western tuning, such as requiring strings to play a G half sharp in one bar. I don't know. I think there's a thing called a semitone, so I'm going to say like semi-toning because I don't know, technique, so I'm going to add an ing to it, but I don't know. Semitones are a thing. That's about all I know. Again, I don't know anything about music theory, so when they ask about music theory, I'm kind of just lost. So, unlucky. Question 5. In 2017, German artist Simon Weckert observed reports of traffic at a May Day parade with no cars and was inspired to make a statement about the interplay of society and technology. The result was a project where he created an effect similar to what he had observed by dragging around a wagon holding 99 of what items? At first, I was like, I don't know what's going on here. I've never heard of this. And then I thought about it for a little while, and I came up with something that I think kind of makes sense. And it's sort of an interesting thing if this is what it is. But so the question is talking about reports of traffic at a parade, but there are no cars. And then it talks about technology, and it's like, okay, like what would be the relationship between traffic and technology? Why would there be reports of traffic? I mean, presumably the way that something like Google Maps works when you're traveling somewhere and it tells you that there's traffic, presumably it just tracks all the phones and all the devices in that area. And if they're all moving really slowly, then it's like, okay, there's clearly traffic here. Presumably that's how it figures out that there's traffic. So my idea is that this is probably just phones. If he took a bunch of like iPhones or whatever, put them all in the same place and then went around with them slowly in a wagon, then it's like Google Maps is going to get tricked into thinking, oh, all these phones are in the same place and they're moving slowly, so there's traffic here, even if there aren't any cars. So again, I think it makes sense, interplay of society and technology. That's kind of I think that's a reasonable thing, given that cluing. So I don't know. Again, I may have just told a story that is completely fictitious over the last 2 minutes, but this is kind of the way I thought about it, and it's kind of a cool thing. Assuming that this is the answer, it's kind of like fun that I'm able to work through that question and figure it out based off the wording, even if I've never heard of the actual thing. But again, I can't wait for this to be the wrong answer and for that to have just been 2 minutes of complete and utter gibberish. But I do think it is a reasonable guess, and I was happy with myself for thinking of it, although it did take me some time because it's not super obvious. Anyway, question 6. Linguist Lindsay Alley found that warped vowel sounds, staggered rhythms, and unfamiliar intonations are among the reasons that many are annoyed by the voices used by performers at what events? At these events, entrants emphatically perform spoken word poetry for panels of judges and audiences, are expected to snap and not clap their approval. I realized that I didn't even come up with a guess for this one because I read through this question and I was like, I have literally no idea what's going on here and I'm just not going to get this right. But I should probably try and think of an answer. So maybe I'm going to just pause the recording and see if I can come up with anything. All right, I've given up. I genuinely have no idea what this is. And I was trying to think of like synonyms for like a gathering. I'm just gonna go with poetry rally because I don't know, like emphatically performing spoken word poetry. I don't know, you could call that like a rally. I have no idea what this is. Like I could not have less of a clue. This sounds like something that I should have heard of, but I really am quite lost. So I'm just gonna give up on that one and just, send in a random phrase that surely is not a thing that exists. So finally, enhancing, I have to go with 3. I think 1 and 2 are too easy. 5 I think I feel pretty decent about it, but I think it's guessable anyway, and there's obviously still a chance that it's just not the right idea at all. Or heck, maybe it's like iPads or laptops or something. So Yeah, I'm going to go with 3 because I think it's just the best option I have. Is that all we're counting? Okay. Mozart, Trevi Fountain, Rushdie, yes. Microtonality. I said semitoning. I think that is not correct. Unfortunate. Phones is correct. Good. Using the density of phones to trick Google Maps. So that was exactly what I was thinking it was. And then poetry slams. What the hell is that? What is that? like like genuinely what is that? I have no clue what that is. Sure, man. I mean, I guess I say what is that? I mean, it was just described in the question, so I guess that's what it is, but I have never heard of that being a thing, so fair enough. Yeah, that's fine. Again, I was totally able to reason out the Google Maps thing, so that was fun. I'm glad I had the correct insight on that one. And I think 4 out of 6 was kind of my ceiling for that quiz anyway, because microtonality, I've never heard that word before. And again, a poetry slam, I just don't know what the hell that is. So yeah, that works. So, oops, I almost, okay, oops. Okay, I clicked the close tab keyboard shortcut while I was in OBS, but thankfully it doesn't work in OBS, so we're still running. And yeah, that's going to be it for this week, but we will get the results in 5 hours. So yeah, I guess I will see you guys when those come out, and we'll see how I did compared to the rest of the field. All right, so here are the final standings for week 3. I finished in 6th place, which is my best finish of the season so far. I had no quizzes where I got below 4 correct, looks like, which is definitely good. So yeah, not much else to say, but there still aren't any overall standings. But I am happy with how that week went. I would guess that I'm probably around, I don't know, 6th, 7th or so for the season overall, but who knows. And yeah, that's going to do it for week number 3. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you again next week, roughly, hopefully, for another video. But for now, thank you for watching, and see you next time.